Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Human Resources in History. This podcast aims to offer insights from 7,000 years of human history to help modern human resource practices. I am your host, Makoto, a data scientist and journalist.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jin, your co-host. I am an HR professional and I love history.
Okay, Jin, so this is our 14th episode, right?
Yes.
Which topic are we going to talk about today?
So in the last few episodes, we discussed China's imperial examination system and drew insights into skills-based talent management, right?
Yeah.
So today, our focus shifts to succession planning, right? Are you familiar with the concept of succession planning?
When the leader wants to step back or retire, I think that a new leader needs to be appointed or be selected.
Yeah.
By some means, and
right.
But the new leader doesn't really come out of thin air, right? You need to identify who's likely to be the new leader and train him or train her. I think so. Succession planning is like about how to prepare for the upcoming change of the leader or something like that.
Yes, exactly. You pretty much described the concept very well. So, according to Wikipedia, succession planning is a process and a strategy for replacement planning or passing on leadership roles. It is used to identify and develop new potential leaders who can move into leadership roles when they become vacant. Right. So that's the definition of from Wikipedia. But in simpler terms, I would say succession planning is a process to ensure that organizations have the right individuals for the right leadership positions.
Yeah.
But of course, it's easy to look simple to say that, but of course it requires a lot of preparation and efforts to put, right? So now we are aligned in terms of the definition of succession planning, but so I would say this strategic process can be broken down into three distinct phases.
Okay.
The first, identifying the talent pool. Second, developing the talent in the talent pool. Third, selecting the right leader.
Okay. Identify, develop, and to select.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a simple 3 steps, right? So in this podcast, we draw insights from history. So that in the next 3 episodes, we will explore various historical parallels that help us better understand these 3 phases.
Okay.
So in this first episode, we will discuss the first step, which is identifying the talent pool. And then I'm going to explain this process with one great example, which is Alexander the Great.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, in the next 2 episodes, we are also going to mention several historical events to explain the second phase, which is developing the talent, and the third phase, selecting the right leader. Right?
Oh, okay. So it's not only about Alexander the Great.
Yeah, well, for this first phase, we are mainly going to talk about Alexander the Great. I know there are a lot of other interesting insights in history to explain the concept of identifying the talent pool, right? But today, we're gonna mainly talk about Alexander the Great.
Okay, sounds interesting.
So, Makoto, when you hear his name, what is your first thought that comes to mind?
I think he was an unstoppable and charismatic leader who rapidly expanded I think it was Macedonian kingdom, right?
Yes, exactly.
From west to east. Yeah, and then also, it always reminds me of Alexandria in Egypt. I really want to visit this city someday. But I think the city is named Alexandria because he conquered Egypt, right?
Yeah, exactly. But actually he made a lot of cities called Alexandria. I heard that there are like more than 20, or I also heard that there was around 70 Alexandria.
Wow.
I don't remember which one, but I think I read the different articles. But anyway, there was so many Alexandrias.
Okay.
So as you explained, he was very charismatic and an unstoppable leader, right? So Before going to the historical insights that we can learn for HR practices, let me walk you through the brief overview of the history surrounding Alexander the Great, okay?
All right.
So he was born in 356 BCE, so which is, almost 2,400 years ago. Almost,
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Long time ago. In Pella, in Macedonia, right? So he was a Macedonian king. So he was the son of King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympias. So actually, this King Philip II is very important character in history as well.
Oh, really?
While Alexander is widely renowned, yes, it's very important in a sense that he did a lot of great things.
Like what?
One thing he did is he massively transformed the military system.
Okay.
And then also he formed the League of Corinth. So this is League of Corinth is the unification of various Greek city-states. Right? So I don't know, probably you know that in ancient Greece there were a lot of small city-states.
Yeah.
So it was around up to 1,500 small city-states. And then this League of Corinth was the unification of these city-states.
So this was formed under the leadership of the Philip.
Exactly.
II.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why, some scholars say that King Philip's contribution was actually even bigger than those of Alexander the Great, right?
Okay.
So anyway, in reality, like Alexander the Great is more renowned. But anyway, Philip II was unfortunately assassinated in 336 BCE when Alexander the Great was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was very young, and then he was ascended to the throne at the age of 20, and started an unprecedented territorial expansion.
Yeah.
Right. So how he did it? So he began his reign by eliminating political rivals and then suppressing revolts by other Greek city-states. Right. So probably some Greek city-states under League of Corinth thought that it would be a great opportunity to to reconquer or to get out of the territory of Macedonia, I guess. But then he suppressed successfully.
Okay.
And so he really built a strong base in the Greek area, right? And then after that, in 334 BCE, he initiated an ambitious campaign against Persia.
334 BCE, so he was like 22 years old.
Yeah, 22 or something like that. Whoa. Yeah, exactly. And then over the following years, Alexander achieved a series of remarkable victories, including the Battle of Issos in 333 BCE and the siege of, I don't know how to pronounce, Tyre, Tyre, in 332 BCE.
Yeah.
Right. So, but his most significant triumph came at the Battle of Gaugamela. Have you heard about this battle, Gaugamela?
Yeah.
I think it's quite famous, I think.
Rings me a bell, yeah.
Right? In 331 BCE when he was around 25 years old. And then he overthrew the Persian king Darius III. And Persia at this moment, it was Achaemenid dynasty.
Yes.
And then it was, they were the most scary opponent to the Greek states.
The Persian kingdom was the most threatening opponent to the Greek state.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then he finally conquered this Achaemenid dynasty.
This time, the Macedonian dynasty, Macedonian kingdom was not so big, right? Yet.
Yeah. He just managed to conquer the Greek states.
Yeah, right. Greek states used to be more powerful, bigger, and also the Persian kingdom. But then the Macedonian kingdom under Alexander the Great suddenly became like so powerful and started to expand, right?
Yeah, well, Persia was way bigger than ancient Greek back then.
Oh, okay.
And so always there was this fear among Greek states that Persian invaded them. Actually, there were several wars before Alexander the Great. It was famous war called Persian War, which is actually, the Persian tried to invade the Greek state.
Mm-hmm.
But the Greek state successfully stopped this invasion. But always, this Achaemenid dynasty, Persia, had been very strong force and, the opponent for them.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Anyway, after Alexander the Great overthrew the Persian king Darius III, he proclaimed himself the king of Asia, right? So he basically became, the king of other territory and became the king of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, Alexander's conquest didn't stop there. So he ventured into Egypt, as you mentioned earlier,
Right.
and he founded the city of Alexandria and was crowned as pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the pharaoh, I'm sure you remember that. It's
Yeah, we learned it in the semi-god, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then he continued eastward, and he conquered cities in present-day Tajikistan and Afghanistan. Eventually, he reached the Punjab region of India.
Wow.
Right? So from Egypt to India.
That's why I said he's
huge.
unstoppable, like a crazy leader. Yeah, he conquered from all the way from Egypt to India, all during his reign, right?
Exactly.
That's so crazy. Actually, one of the walls in my room has a big world map, and I was looking at it now. Yeah, from Egypt to India, it's huge. I know that there are bigger empires and kingdoms in the human history, like of course the British Empire is the biggest, and the Mongol Empire is also big. But I think the craziest thing about Macedonian kingdom is that he himself, only himself, he expanded this rapidly. It's just beyond my imagination.
Yeah, but of course his expansion didn't last forever. Right. So after his victory at the Battle of the Hydaspes in 326 BCE, which is 10 years after he became the king.
Yeah.
Right, and Alexander's expedition began to wind down. His soldiers, after almost 10 years of traveling, grew homesick and then pleaded with him to return home. But can you imagine that this entire 10 years, well, it's actually probably like 8 years, he's basically been traveling. He never went back to Macedonia.
I wonder if Alexander himself felt homesick or not, though.
I don't know if he had that kind of a feeling as other human beings do.
Maybe he was too busy to think about his homeland.
Yeah. But his soldiers, and he also, of course, he was not alone. He brought a lot of people from his hometown, right? But then these people had their family, so it's quite natural they grew homesick.
Yeah, and then he listened to them.
I think he had to, because without them, he can't go farther anyway. So, but actually, he still wanted to go farther, and he wanted to conquer other lands, right? So he agreed, Alexander agreed, and made his way back to Babylon in Persia. Babylon was kind of like was big city in Persia, right? So he built a base there, right? So from there, he actually planned to further military campaigns.
Oh, okay. He didn't completely went home.
Yeah, I don't know how many soldiers actually successfully went back to their own land. But Alexander himself, didn't go back to Macedonia, and then he went back to Babylon, right?
Yep.
But then the tragedy happened here. You probably know that he didn't live longer. So in 323 BCE, at the age of 32, he passed away in Babylon. The exact cause of his death remains subject of speculation, with theories ranging from malaria to poisoning, but we are not 100% sure why he died. But anyway, despite his short life, Alexander became a role model for many historical figures, including Caesar and Napoleon.
Yeah.
Right? Like these people were like Caesar and Napoleon were influenced by him a lot, and especially Caesar when he was around his age, around 30, he cried because he couldn't. Of course, Caesar was an ambitious guy, but he didn't made as big achievement as Alexander the Great did at the same age.
Yeah.
So
he cried. Wow.
Yeah. But actually, Caesar did a quite great job after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also Napoleon, after more than 2,000 years, that he influenced. His influence lasted.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And then not only affecting other historical figures, but Alexander's great influence extended across vast regions and became a legendary figure in many cultures. Right? So he became a lot of stories in many cultures. Yeah, and also not himself, but through his relentless campaigns, Greek culture and its influence spread across the world. And it made a period known as the Hellenistic Age.
Is it because the soldiers were bringing some, I don't know, like goods from Greece to eastward, or?
Yeah, I think so. So. Yeah, and I think in one of our episodes we talked about Gandhara art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which one. Silk Road.
Silk Road.
We talked about that. This one, the Greek language and culture, exemplified by the syncretism known as Greco-Buddhism.
Yeah, Greco-Buddhism.
So Greco-Buddhism, it's like the Buddha statue is. It looks like a Greek sculpture. So yeah, undoubtedly, Alexander the Great stands as one of the most influential figures in human history.
Well, indeed. I mean, he's a significant historical figure, no doubt. But then when it comes to the succession planning, how good is he as an example?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I think, this is, as far as I read somewhere, but I think he didn't really think about it, no?
Exactly, you're right. And this is the point of this episode. So, upon his death, Alexander the Great did not have a clear successor. So he lacked focus on developing and selecting suitable successor, unlike his ambition for conquest. And some historians have noted that Alexander's empire lacked formal structures for identifying and nurturing and developing a successor. So he had been successful in his territorial expansion, but he wasn't really successful in succession planning, right? So he didn't prepare the talent pool, right? So I like this story. I found this quite interesting. Alexander the Great was asked by one of the men surrounding him about his successor. Do you know what he said?
No.
So he responded, "To the strongest one."
Oh.
So that's probably his succession planning.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any subordinates of him expected him to say such a thing. I'm sure they got panicked, right?
Yeah.
They would be like, "Wait, what? Didn't you think about who to succeed?" Or does that mean we need to fight to decide who the strongest one is?
Yeah, but but think about his age. He was still 32.
Oh yeah, right.
Like much younger than, not much, but a few years younger than us, right?
Yeah. Okay. So his death was kind of unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe he was planning to think about his successors like several years later, but 32, he didn't plan, and he didn't have this plan. So, but of course, it's not a best practice.
Yeah.
To answer like this.
Maybe Alexander was also panicked. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm dying. Oh my God, I need to think about the successor."
Yeah.
Okay, to the strongest one.
Possibly. But this word was made several months before he died.
Oh, okay.
So not upon his dying on a bed. But
I
to
see,
be
I see.
honest, I don't know if this
Yeah.
he really made this comment though.
It
It's
could
kind
be
of
a okay. It could
just
be a
made up
false.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It would be funny if it's true, but
Yeah, like in this like it's 2000 years ago. So
yeah.
we never know
Right.
who
Right.
said what. But yeah, this anecdote is quite famous, and I really like it because this is a really not a best practice in succession planning, right? Imagine if a CEO says the most talented person should take over my position
Yeah.
when
Well,
he or she is asked about the succession planning without actually identifying a successor before stepping down.
yeah.
So that's gonna be this would result in a chaotic process, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if someone eventually assumed the role, it is highly probable that other ambitious executives would be dissatisfied
Yeah.
with the selection process, right?
Yeah.
Because selection process was not clear, there was no talent pool, so people would be probably like, why this person?
Yeah.
It
I'm
should
better.
be me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So Alexander the Great should have prepared the pool of candidates for his replacement, right? So for the first, which is the first step of succession planning, which is identifying the talent pool, and he clearly failed.
So it's a counter example for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should always, as an HR or business leader, we should keep this in mind, keep Alexander the Great in mind when you think about the future of the company, right? We should always have a succession or talent pool, right?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
written process and documents,
Yep.
right? So let me tell you what happened after that. What this bad practice leads to, lead this nation to, right? So following Alexander's death, those left behind failed to reach a consensus on his successor, obviously, right? Leading to the immediate collapse of the kingdom.
Because people started to fight for the
Exactly.
for the position. Yeah.
So the kingdom of Macedonia disintegrated in 321 BCE,
Oh.
just 2 years after his passing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The
just 2
falling
years.
is so rapid.
Yeah, he did this massive expansion within 10 years, and then after 2 years, because he died, and the kingdom disintegrated.
Yeah.
And after that, a 40-year-long war among his potential successors broke out. Yeah, this war is known as the Wars of the Alexander successors, or Diadokai. Yeah, in Japanese we say like a diadokoi. I think it's closer to a Greek pronunciation.
Okay.
But in English it's Diadokai.
Yeah.
This conflict ultimately divided the kingdom into smaller political entities, including the Antigonid dynasty, which is Eastern Europe, like Balkan area,
Oh.
right? And Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt,
Yeah.
and then Seleucid Empire in Persia.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but then these dynasties didn't last long. So ironically, all of these entities were eventually conquered by one of the most influential powers in history.
The Romans.
Exactly. So Ptolemaic dynasty, I think it's a famous. The last monarch was Cleopatra the Seventh.
Right.
I think we talked about that before. And other two dynasties as well. They were defeated by the Romans.
Well, then I understand that Alexander was a very charismatic person and charismatic leader, but then on the other hand, he did not really do well in terms of the choosing the right person to succeed him. He didn't have time to do that probably, but it's such an important thing to do when you're still in the position.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like how can we prevent such situations from occurring? Now we are probably shifting to the modern business examples.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm curious.
Well, it's a straightforward concept. It's not anything difficult. The board of directors in the modern business world should take responsibility for top management succession planning, such as the CEO, right, with the current CEO. And while HR department should handle other managerial positions, right? So either HR or CHRO or current CEO or the board of directors. But anyway, the right person or right department should be in charge of the process, right? Well, and then what they need to do first is simply to document the process of identifying the succession pool and create and maintain a list of potential candidates. These two things. Yeah.
It's simple.
Well, yeah, this process is not as simple as it may sound.
Oh, really?
Think about it. Well, probably document the process of identifying the succession pool is relatively easy, but actually create and maintain a list of potential candidates require a lot of effort, because it's really, really important decision, right?
But then I'm not sure, creating a list, isn't it equivalent to just listing out people in the managerial positions, no? Because the leader cannot come out of like a low rank, right?
Yeah.
So I think the managers are already the candidates for the next position.
Yeah, but the thing is that imagine that there are 100 managers in the company.
Yeah.
And are you going to put everyone in the list? Probably not, right? You should have a proper criteria to make the list, right?
Okay.
And then also this succession planning or talent pool should include someone from outside as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not only the internal people, right? So, of course, it's important to create a list, better than nothing. But it's really, you should be careful about the criteria and how to list up.
Okay, so I understood that you're saying just listing out all the managers are not, a list is not, by the list, you don't mean listing just the managers, right?
Yeah, well, the right person should be on the list.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There should be some screening criteria.
Yeah, exactly. You should have the clear and well thought criteria that align with the business strategy and the vision and mission of the company.
Right. Okay.
Right? Yeah. So that's what I meant.
I was going to say, in my previous company, we had a spreadsheet where you can find a list of skills and achievements in order to get promoted to each positions. Like, for example, in order to become a lead data scientist, you need to demonstrate project leading skills in a very complex project. You need to have one or two of the several advanced technical DS skills and so on. There are a lot of criteria that you need to meet in order to get promoted, in order to get that position. It's like a checkbox to get promoted. Is it the same though, or different?
I would say, well, yes and no. But yes, in a sense that you need to have some sort of criteria, right? And no, because it's not just ticking a box, right? The higher you go in the corporate hierarchy, let's say like CXO level or even CEO, right? Their job is not just to do what they were asked to do, right? They have to be really like innovative or transformative.
Yeah, but then you need to document those kind of criteria. So it's
So in that sense, it's yes. Exactly. So you need to have a list of checkbox. Yes.
Yeah, but it's not as simple as just a checkbox, because
exactly.
It's more like a soft skill, including soft skills and culture map, culture fit.
But then, the simply put, still the important action for the HR or the board of directors is to create a list, right?
Right.
Without this list, it's gonna be disaster when a CEO has to step down.
Yeah.
So that's the first things to do, right? Yeah, because
I agree.
what we learned from Alexander the Great is that he didn't even have that list. Maybe he had that in his mind, but it was just the criteria is the strongest, which is not really a good criteria.
Nobody wants that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that creating a list of potential candidates is just the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
And we also need to focus on developing the individuals in the pool, ultimately selecting the right person for the position. So these 3 steps should be really addressed because they are equally important.
And that's what we are going to talk about in the next 2 episodes.
Exactly. So
Nice.
what is your main takeaway from this episode?
I think there are a lot of different ways to decide the successor, right? I know that, for example, in Japan, 97% of the companies are small and medium-sized, and I assume there are a lot of family-owned businesses. In those kind of companies, I think at least identifying the next leader is quite easy because, always the family member succeeds. It's just a matter of how to train the next leader. But then for the publicly listed companies are quite different. They need to have a clear process to choose the next leader. I think otherwise it could be like rejected by the shareholders. And also I think that when the company has clearer process, then employees become more motivated. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, actually, we are going to talk about that in the next, the third phase, when companies select the right leader. Some companies choose the hereditary succession method, right? Meaning that they appoint their family members for the next CEO or CXO positions. Yeah. But it's not easy either, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna dive into that point in the next episode.
Okay, nice. It was definitely an interesting episode. Honestly, I really like when we talk about some counter example from history. We also talked about typing Heavenly Kingdom and the how to take care of the candidates. It was also a very fun episode.
Yeah, we can always learn from successful cases and also failures.
Failures, yeah. Sometimes failures have more insights.
I like this a phrase made by one of the famous baseball players in Japan. So probably very few readers know this baseball player's name. His name was Nomura, Mr. Nomura. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he left this quote: "There is no reason for win, but there is always reason for losing."
I like that. When you fail, there's always a reason, but when you succeed, probably it's because you're lucky or...
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's true or not, but at least, we can find reasons for failure in history and modern business settings.
Okay. Oh, that's a very nice lesson. I love it. Well, now then, I think it's time to wrap up this episode. I'm really looking forward to the next 2 episodes, by the way. So please listen to our next episode, and thank you for joining today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.